Hey there, Nate here, better known online as Waymaker, and I'm here with a new doodling and rambling session for you. This time, I'm just going to start sketching, and when I get to a point where I find something I feel I know enough about to explain in detail, I will, and we'll have a video. So I'm just going to start doodling a guy here. This is not a sped up video, as you can tell. This is just me going about it in the moment. So we get a head here. I'm going to draw a character because characters are what I feel like I specialize in. I should pay more attention to other things like backgrounds, but for now, we'll just draw a guy. And I feel like I have a lot to say about drawing people. Faces and stuff here. You'll notice that I started with a circle and a cross. I know that seems almost tutorial book cliche, but there's a reason for it. I was actually showing my brother-in-law the other day how to go through this part of the process. This is just, there's actually a lot of steps here. So let's stop here. Let's draw heads. Let's figure out how a head is supposed to go. Naturally, when you're done, all of these circle bits and everything are going to be gone, and what you're left with is something that looks finished. But to get to that point, there's a couple of steps that I like to kind of go through. The first one is drawing a circle. I just sketch out a circle. I swirl until it looks round. At first, this is going to take a lot of practice, but it's worth it. Get your circle skills in order, and then find the middle. And I tend to cut off the edges because heads are not perfectly spherical. I'll get more into that. And then there's the jaw, which is attached to the bottom of the sphere of your skull. So it's not actually like part of it there, right? The top matches the circle, but the bottom doesn't. But the bottom does give you a reference point. I'll make another layer here with a darker line so that I can explain what I'm trying to say better. So you've got this top line, right, which is the middle of the circle, and you got this bottom line, which is the bottom of the circle. The bottom of the circle is going to be a great reference point for where your nose sits, generally. Most of the time in a proportional head, the bottom of the nose will hit there, but this top line is going to not be the eyes, it'll be the eyebrows. The eyes are actually in the middle of the head, but here's the cool thing, right? So you got this line on top and this line on the bottom. They're the edges of the circle, so you already have a reference point there. And then both of these lines are also going to be used for something else. This top one is the eyebrow line, which we've discussed. I'm just going to label these, right? So it'll make it easier for referencing later. The bottom will be the nose line. These two lines are what you use to reference your ears. And most of the time, this works. You've got the top of the ear at the eyebrows and the bottom of the nose. You can check in the mirror, and you'll see that that's the case with most facial proportions, right? The top of your eyebrows, or your eyebrows and the top of your ears, and the bottom of your nose to the bottom of your ears. It tends to just kind of line up that way. It's important. It's a good idea to observe and see. Let me write this. Portions are all about referenced. Come on, I don't know why I wasn't writing there. About referenced comparisons. It's good to observe. Take pictures, look at pictures, find how things relate to others, things that you can compare and balance off of other things. Because once you know where the eyebrow sits and where the nose sits, you can figure out the eyebrows and the ears and the eyes, and you can kind of fall from there. The space between the bottom of the chin and the bottom of the nose, right in the middle, is really going to kind of be the bottom of the lip, right? The mouth goes above that. And this is, again, proportions are one of those things that are going to be different from person to person, from character to character. But the middle of that is generally going to be the bottom lip. That's where the bottom of your teeth start, on your bottom teeth. And this, I have to say this, usually, right? Scribble that in real good. This is not always going to be the rule, and I'll show you why, right? Let's do 3 different characters here. I mean, I've been writing comics for a while. Something you want to do is have different shaped characters, especially if you're writing comics, or if you're doing characters for D&D, right? You want them to be recognizable at a glance. You want to be able to see them in the distance and know who they are. So I'm going to give 3 different examples here. We're going to do a blocky rectangle. We're going to do a kind of thinner triangular character, and then we're going to do one that is more detailed, right? You'll also notice, again, I'm chopping off the sides of the circle. Let me explain why, right? Skulls are not perfectly spherical. They're kind of round, but there's most of the time the sides are a little more squashed, right? They're a little flatter. And what that does, if you're aware of this, you pay attention to that detail. It kind of lets you figure out where the cheekbones are and where the general shapes of the head are, and you can kind of feel around on your face, and you'll notice that where the sides of your head are a little more flat, but it starts around the temples, right? And goes into the cheekbones, and behind that you get that flatness behind the ears. And that's what that line is for. If you don't stop the head there in a drawing, your character's going to look like they have like more bulbous, rounder heads. And depending on the art style, depending on the character, maybe that's what you want, right? But that's up to you to decide, obviously. Art is one of those subjective things. You can decide this. But this is how I do it, and since it's my video, I'm going to show you how I go about it. For this guy, we're going rectangular, blocky. We're giving him the big, blocky jaw. We're going to go for your traditional orc here, a little bit pointier ears, but still pretty generally human. We're going to give him a big, wide mouth with some orc tusk fangs. Nothing big, right? We're not going exaggerated. Give him a nice, big, strong nose. And then some thicker, strong eyebrows. And I'm following those same proportion lines. Even if the nose is wide, it still ends at that height, right? And the ears still fit the same proportions. You get the eyes in there. Eyes are a whole nother ball game. Right now we're going to focus on head shapes. Complete the top of this guy. But he's very much a rectangle, right? Very strong features. This one we're going to make a little more slim, more triangular. We're going to make an elf and give him a little pointier chin. And the ears, pointy ears, a little harder, right, to keep those proportions. I think generally I estimate going beyond the reference line, but starting below it, and you kind of get that elfy shape. Give him a slimmer nose, some slimmer eyebrows. Just make this one a little bit thinner in every way. Give him some different eye shapes, right? Something a little sharper, more hawk-like. Give him we'll try some expressions. Why not? But you can already tell those guys look pretty different. We'll do somebody a little more distinct, following the kind of skull lines, knowing where the cheekbones are, making things a little more defined. I'm going to go for an old man here. Or rather an old common. I'm gonna generally kind of have an idea of Bajeo. Bajeo is a character from the comic that my wife and I write. He is an old man who used to be a king, and currently is the advisor to a king that took his kingdom. He has some age and some wisdom on him. He has a cool eye patch because of the duel that resulted in his demotion. But because he's an old man, you know, you can have slightly bigger ears, bigger noses, because those are things that never stop growing. The skin, anywhere that is mostly just cartilage and skin, tends to keep growing and slacken, which is how the wrinkles happen. We'll throw a couple of wrinkles on there around his mouth, under the eyes, around the eyebrows, make sure that he's got that kind of more wizened, weathered look. And you can already tell these three characters are very distinct. What I can say at this point is, once you have that idea, you just want to practice. One thing I'll do, if I'm trying to write a comic, which I am, I'm going to come up with a character, and I'm going to draw that character a bunch of times in a bunch of different poses until I get a good natural feeling for where his proportions are. In this case, we're going to draw a bunch of kerns, right? We're going to draw 5 kerns, and as I do that, I'm going to try and give a couple of different angles. That's another point of that cross-section. It allows you to direct where it's looking. And I'll do one that's a side profile here because we haven't really explored that very much, but it's kind of the same thing. It's hard to explain for me where exactly the jaw is supposed to be. This is one of those things where you want to reference, you want to look at photos, you want to look at other artists to have kind of that idea of where it's supposed to sit. Proportions are one of those things where you draw them, and they might not be right the first time. You keep adding to it. You keep adding little lines until it looks good, like you like it, and then you can stop, right? You just keep going, right? And it's not going to be perfect the first time, which is why you keep doing it. You do it again and again and again. Kern's got these pointy ears and these little sideburn things. Kind of refine that neck a little bit, throw some hair on there. With my characters, I tend to try and keep hair style designs very simple. Something that I can draw very quickly, because if I'm going to be drawing them 30 or 40 times, in a chapter, I want to be able to do that quickly. So I'm not gonna go out of my way to make super complicated hair designs, and I've done it before. Rin, the counterpart to Kern in the story, his wife, she has hair that has changed throughout the story various times. It's just increased in volume. Elise teases me all the time about how, each chapter Rin's hair grows and it's only been like a day or two, but it's very detailed and it gets bigger, but I try and keep it simple. You'll notice here with this one something I just realized, and I'll go over this in more detail here in a bit. The nose does not hit the bottom of the circle, the mouth does. And the reason for that is because that circle, that bottom of the circle reference line that should tell you where the bottom of the nose is curved. Because his face is looking upward, that curve of the line that should be cutting across the face is also upward. I just didn't draw it there. I didn't consider that because I've been doing it so long. There's steps that you skip. Once you get to the point where you can just skip steps to make it more efficient, that's the goal, right? That's what you're actually aiming for. You want to be able to spend as little time on this part of the process as you can, right? The sketch is just to get the shape out there. After a while, you'll get your sketches in order, and then you can go through and take time inking and coloring and shading. But as far as the sketch phase goes, your goal is to get a shape determined rather quickly. Like, I'm going through these pretty quick. This is Kern number 3, and I'm checking my clock here. We've been doing this for like 3 minutes. So that's a kern a minute. That's a new unit of measurement, right? How many kerns per minute are you drawing? And this one's facing down. You'll notice the nose also goes a little beyond the circle. We'll get to that, I promise. We'll get there. I'm just going to throw together a couple of expressions and then I'll explain what I'm doing there. Most of this is just there's an invisible line that I'm having follow in front of the skull shape, in front of the cheeks, in front of because all the nose and the front of the face are actually hovering in front of the sphere of the circle, because it is a sphere, so it bends back, right? It's not there at the forefront, so it can't always be reliably used to measure, but what can is the eyebrow line, because the eyebrow ridge is always going to be right there surface level, so you can count on eyebrows. You can depend on eyebrows. And that kind of, that'll set you up for success. At least you'll have something to measure from. And if nothing looks right, then you keep tinkering with it until it does. Here's another one that's facing upward. The nose is not going to meet the bottom line on this one either, but we'll just get through it. I'll explain why here in a second. I'm also making sure to put spots on all his ears, because Elise will definitely come at me with her quality control if I forget to put spots on his ears. And mark my words, if you write a comic, make your character designs easy to replicate quickly and as many times as you need to, because you're going to be drawing this character a lot, right? You want to keep them generally pretty simple. I had this great idea, what if these characters had spots, right, on their ears and on their necks and on their bodies in general? What if this guy is covered in scars with a very specific scar map? What if he starts wearing jewelry halfway through the story, and now I have to remember what each piece of jewelry looks like every time? It's a nightmare. And Elise's fantastic quality control, because I'll send her the lines to a page and she'll send them back full of notes like, you forgot his earrings on this panel and that one, you forgot Rin's spots over here, what about her necklace? It's very important, right, to make sure that you have a quality control, make sure that you get all the individual doodads. But if I have any major advice for the budding comic artist, keep your character designs simple as pie, right? Make sure that there's something that you can very easily and memorably replicate without having to go back and check your reference chart, which is an important and a good idea to have also. You know, if you have a complex character, make a reference chart, make a sheet that shows what they look like, front, back, sides, and all the little details that make them them, so that you have something to look at, cross-reference, and check, right? Just to be sure, it doesn't hurt. Anyway, got these 5 kerns, and explain that thing with the nose and the angling. So the lines are still the same, but where they land on the face is going to be different, because if you're tilted upward, that line isn't going to be a straight line, it's going to be a curve, right? It's gonna follow the curve of the face. So I guess that makes it a little more complicated, but it's something to practice. You'll notice right here, it doesn't line up at the bottom of the circle. It follows this curve across the face, kind of, you know? And right now it's easy for me to outline these because I've already drawn the noses. But knowing where that curve is supposed to be, and knowing that the front of a face is not perfectly rounded, it's a little flat in the front also. We're very faceted, right? And it depends on the person and the character as well. You know, some people are rounder than others. Some people are more jagged than others. And it depends on the type of character you're trying to go for. With this, actually, let me do these in blue, because Kern and Rin in the comic actually wear these hard light visors that are given to them so that they can see on a planet that is low light, because they come from a planet that's very bright, right? So they need these reverse sunglasses. And what happens is that kind of sets this little curve on their face anyway. I like it because it helps me reference the direction that they're tilting their head. It lets me skip a lot of being just right with my anatomy. It's one of my little hacks. You don't have to add a sci-fi visor to all of your characters to make this happen, but knowing where those lines should be really does add to it a little bit. It helps me determine what direction they're looking, even when they're a tiny character in the distance. In any case, with this, if you enjoyed this video, or, you know, didn't enjoy it, really, but you really want to encourage me to make more until I get better at it, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It helps me and my wife with what we do. My wife and I write a webcomic together. It's called Waymaker Chronicles. You can find links to that and our Patreon in the description of this video. Thank you for watching and listening to me ramble about one of my favorite things. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Toodles.